right, we're doing it.
Yep, it's going. March Madness is done. I know that you don't care as much about that as I do, but I just feel like there's a void in my life now that basketball that I care about is done for the year. I got the NBA, postseason, which is, I guess, okay, but just feeling bummed, man.
I get it. Gotta fill the void with something, usually alcohol, and for me, food, probably.
Food is good. It's a good way to fill the empty pit inside you. Both referring to your stomach and your emotional chasm. It's cold. It's cold too, and it's late spring, and that's bullshit.
What is happening? And there's been tornadoes and fires and plagues. Someone's mad.
The Walking Dead.
The end of Game of Thrones.
It was several years ago now. Oh my gosh, when was that? 2018?
That's when it all started going to shit.
Yeah.
Well,
reset the simulation anytime now.
Today's movie was set in the 90s when everything was still beautiful and good.
Yeah, despite the gritty and graphic nature of the film. The 90s were nice. Man. Except I will say this. I think the 90s have the ugliest vehicles, pretty much, of any decade. And I'm sorry to anybody out there who loves their Toyota Tercel or fucking whatever, but like, it's... I don't know, man. Even the 80s are looking good now. And just the 90s are the ugly ducklings.
Sure. Fair enough. Well, what can you do?
What can you do? The music's great, though. Outstanding. Last weekend was Dreamville here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Just a big hip-hop music festival. And while I didn't go because tickets were really fucking expensive, like $200 a day pass, on Sunday they actually cut the price to $125, and apparently that was like the 90s themed day, which would have probably been pretty cool to see.
Nice.
I'm just lamenting my regret having not done that.
Well, it sounds like you're living over there.
Living.
Living the dream.
Living the dream.
Which is what you say when you want to die.
I guess back to our 90s film that we're doing today here at Far Out Flicks.
Pulp Fiction.
Which, by the way, this is your host, Andrew.
And I'm Braden, and this is Far Out Flicks.
But you know that. You clicked on it. You hit play. Maybe you even searched for it.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see. Maybe you're a first-time listener, and if you are, we welcome you, and we're going to talk about the movie eventually.
Yeah, and if you are a first-time listener, I'm trying to get better about doing this, you should definitely watch the movie before listening, because we're going to talk about it in depth, and it will spoil things, and... I mean, I would be shocked if you're, like, listening to movie podcasts if you haven't seen this one, but... You should watch it and then come right back and join us from there.
Yes. Pulp Fiction. I would say, I mean, this is widely regarded as one of the most influential films of the 90s. And
yeah, I think most people would say it's Tarantino's masterpiece. I've been wanting to say his name fun. But it's his masterpiece.
Yes, it's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece of the 90s. It's Quentin Tarantino's masterpiece. A little background on Quentin Tarantino. He has a foot fetish.
It's an important thing to get out.
I feel like we mentioned that in a previous episode as well, but all of his films feature feet, and this one is no exception.
Yeah, we were talking about From Dusk Till Dawn's scene with Salma Hayek. I'm pretty sure, or maybe we just off color
I believe
referenced it,
so.
but
I,
that's what I would have brought it up talking about. Um, so yeah, Tarantino. How would you describe Tarantino? What's Tarantino known for?
he is known for being kind of an outspoken personality, as well as just a person who makes awesome movies. He's known for using a lot of profanity and violence in his films.
Gratuitous levels, some people would say, but he's got a very like cool kind of grit and edge to him. I feel like he is like every young cinephile's favorite director at first. It certainly is like where I was exposed to like really artistic, well done, but like gritty and not parental approved films as a young man.
Awesome music in all of his films.
And dialogue, I guess, would be the other thing. He's known for writing, graphic but exceptional dialogue.
Yes, and it's very much the way people speak in real life.
Yeah. So just to like name a few of the films that he has done, and Braden jump in as you see fit. But
Sure.
Reservoir Dogs, which
Great one.
precedes Pulp Fiction. He had half of Death Proof, or I guess his was Death Proof, half of Grindhouse. Sorry, Death Proof, which is sweet. Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, Django Unchained,
Inglorious Bastards.
Inglorious Bastards, which is fucking
One of
awesome.
my favorite ones for sure.
Uh,
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The
Yes.
Hateful Eight.
the Hateful Eight, which is I love because I love Walton Goggins, Kurt Russell, and of course The Thing. For our long-term listeners, you know how much I love The Thing. Because that movie is just like a Western version of The Thing.
Yep.
He was in an acting role, as we mentioned just a minute ago, From Dusk Till Dawn, which is so fucking cool. We got to do that next Halloween.
Sure.
Are we leaving anything out? Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown.
Shit, are we forgetting anything?
I think that about covers it. He wrote True Romance, and he
True
has
Romance
some
is awesome.
screenwriting credits on a few others.
Yeah. He's kind of a weird dude. Quentin Tarantino is pretty weird.
I would call him an extremely weird dude.
Extremely weird, yeah.
He's a very unique motherfucker he's almost creepy in a way to me now. Especially knowing that he was like, so close to Harvey Weinstein and all that.
Yeah, they all were. It's terrible. But, Pulp
He knew what was going
Fiction.
on.
Yeah, he knew what was going on. I'm sure Tarantino's done some weird shit, man. Again, all of them. Anyways, we're gonna get fucking
Sorry
killed.
to get dark on you guys.
Yeah, we're gonna get fucking
Allegedly.
killed
All of
by big media's hitting in.
that's allegedly.
Yeah, you're right. Who knows? But Harvey Weinstein's. I mean, we do know about that one. Yeah, we fucking know. And his weird egg-shaped penis.
Wasn't that like the account of one of his survivors or whatever?
I think many.
Weird egg-shaped penis.
There were multiple accounts of him having a strange oblong egg-shaped penis. We're not talking about Weinstein. We're talking about Tarantino. So back to Pulp Fiction. I think pretty much as we already said, this is considered his masterpiece, his magnum opus, and for good reason. Everything from just like the aesthetic, the camera work, the dialogue, the acting, it's just all so freaking fantastic. So let's talk about some of the actors that are in this exceptional film.
Sure. Well, first we have John Travolta, this like revitalized his whole career. It was a massive comeback for him. None of the studios wanted him. They all fought against casting him, and he ended up doing a great job, obviously. Originally, Quentin Tarantino wanted Michael Madsen, who is one of the guys in Reservoir Dogs, and he's in The Hateful Eight.
Mm-hmm.
But he couldn't do it. And actually, he originally wanted Lawrence Fishburne for the part of Jules, which is interesting.
Cool. I mean, that
would have been cool, but it would have been very different because Samuel L. Jackson's just so freaking good in this, man.
So yeah, Travolta plays Vincent Vega. Samuel L. Jackson, who we just jumped into, plays Jules Winfield.
I feel like this is the character that like Samuel L. Jackson just got stuck with for the rest of his career in a way. Because it just like fit him so perfectly.
He's literally one of the richest men in Hollywood, I'm pretty sure.
No, he's the man.
We've got Ving Rhames as Marcellus Wallace.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We've got...
We'll get to him later.
Yeah, we will come back to Marcellus.
We got Butch Coolidge, who's played by Bruce Willis.
Who's one of my all-time favorites, and we'll take a moment to acknowledge.
Okay, there we go. I didn't know that.
I love, dude, fucking Die Hard. I love Die Hard so much. At least like the original few. But, just to acknowledge that Bruce Willis, recently came out, or his family came out, that he's struggling with aphasia. So everybody send your thoughts and prayers and warm feelings to the Willis family. Because that sucks.
Get better soon, Bruce.
Yeah, what a wonderful career and body of works he left us with.
Absolutely. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's so good.
That role almost went to Matt Dillon, who essentially didn't take it. But this is a film that I cannot imagine the parts being played by any other actors or actresses.
I mean, I think Matt Dillon would have done fine. Especially, I've seen some stuff of his that I've enjoyed recently.
Oh, yeah. He's great. Factotum. Have you ever seen that one?
I haven't.
Where he plays Bukowski.
No, but that sounds good.
He's great.
I saw The House That Jack Built, which is really fucked up.
Oh, yeah,
crazy.
That one's dark.
Dude,
Lars von Trier, right?
Yeah, very, very dark. Anyways, getting back, Uma Thurman is Mia Wallace.
Mia Wallace?
Yep. And then we've got some other big names. Steve Buscemi.
Christopher Walken.
God,
it's just such a good cast.
Yeah.
So good.
But those are the main players. Who plays the wolf?
Harvey Keitel.
Yep. And then Tarantino himself.
So many people in that.
Tarantino is an actor featured in the film. We'll probably gloss over a lot of his dialogue choices through our podcast today.
He's made some controversial choices.
Sure. I guess we'll lightly touch on it with fucking, padded gloves or whatever. So yeah, star-studded freaking cast. And career-defining moments for pretty much all of those actors, except maybe Bruce Willis, who was already like the biggest movie star at that time, but it made the careers of like Samuel L. Jackson, second career of John Travolta, Uma Thurman. You can go into any Goodies or fucking Sam Ash if they even still exist. I don't know, whatever shitty mall store that sells any kind of semi-edgy garbage to teenagers, and they will absolutely have some kind of memorabilia, whether it's a poster or a movie, not a poster or a wallet or whatever that like is tribute or effectively merch for this movie.
It was huge.
It's huge.
It came out in the same year as The Shawshank Redemption and I believe Forrest Gump. So it had some. That was just a big year for movies.
Which would be 1994 for our
Yep.
listeners. So let's just touch on the title itself, because that's kind of like where the movie's going to kick off. Anyways, so Pulp Fiction is like a nod or homage to like pulp magazines or pulp crime fiction novels of like the mid-century, basically. These things were hugely popular at the time. In fact, there's a Stephen King book / movie called The Dark Half, where like the protagonist is a pulp crime writer who, like, I don't know, through some weird brain tumor makes a fucking tulpa of an evil version. His, like, you know, evil, hard-edged crime fucking detective character. Who goes
I have
around.
not seen that. That's a movie
It's a movie,
and
dude.
a book.
And a book.
Oh.
The Dark Half. Yeah.
All right, I'll check it out.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty out there. But, you know, it's... I guess I would say also Sin City is heavily
Sure.
like homage. If homage is the word homage, it's kind of fun to say. So, like, the movie starts with two definitions of pulp, kind of like on the title card. First being a soft, moist, shapeless mass of matter. So, if you think of like a head getting blasted with a shotgun, you could, you know, or an orange pulp, whatever. And two, a magazine or book containing literate subject matter and being characteristically printed on rough, unfinished paper. And that's from the American Heritage Dictionary, New College Edition. Wow.
And I think I was watching an interview where he said he basically wanted to take these larger than life characters from these old pulp magazines like detectives, noir, underworld, crime tales, and put them in real world situations and just like watch them break down in like the more realistic environment. And I think that's pretty neat.
That is pretty neat.
So the film is actually made up of really three different main stories. You have the story of Butch the boxer, who basically is supposed to throw a fight for these gangsters. Then you have Jules and Vincent, who are trying to get back a briefcase for their boss, Marcellus Wallace.
Who happens to be one of those aforementioned gangsters.
Yes, and he's the boss. And then the third story is Vincent, one of the hitmen who's supposed to take his boss's wife out for like a night on the town, but he's not allowed to touch her.
Because it's the boss's wife.
And it's really just a film driven by dialogue and meandering storylines that like weave in and out of each other. And I mean, there's big action sequences, but so much of it, what is revolutionary about it was the dialogue.
And these aren't big action sequences in terms of like Michael Bay action sequences. So it's not loaded with like over the top CGI and, you know, 30-minute choreographed martial arts scenes. But there are, you know, major like upticks in, you know, going from like very heavy dialogue based film to very like extreme bursts of violence.
Yes, interesting. It's almost like it's quiet and chill for a while, and then it just gets really loud all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like the Pixies.
Like the Pixies. So Jules and Vincent start the film off by arriving at an apartment where they're supposed to retrieve this briefcase that is the property of their boss, Marcellus Wallace. I guess it's kind of like implied that the people they're retrieving the case from have let down or betrayed Marcellus.
They're there to basically kill that guy, get back the briefcase.
Exactly. Let's talk about the briefcase for a second. The golden briefcase.
Yes, this is pretty fun. Basically, it's a plot device. We never find out what's in the briefcase, even though I know it's actually in the briefcase.
What is it?
It's a light bulb. And that's why it glows when they open it.
Yes, it is actually a light bulb.
Pretty sure that's all that's in there.
And it's supposed to just like represent like, I guess like
Treasure.
the unattainable human want, or like the universal human want, just glows gold.
Pretty badass.
It is. So they come in and they have like the famous Whataburger scene, or no, what's the fucking burger company? Hula Burger.
You forgot about the beginning where they like, well, it's almost at the beginning of the movie, it's two different characters who aren't even main characters, but you kind of think they're main characters for a second. Honey Bunny and Pumpkin.
Sure, but it's just like it really just kind of introduces them.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, but it does go full circle back at the end.
Sure,
because it's also the final scene, I think.
Part of what it is going to make doing this episode challenging is that the film, as we already said, is not in chronological order. It kind of like jumps around, which is cool and pretty clever, but it's just going to make it difficult to discuss whether, or like keep things sequential versus
right
chronological.
And even when I watch this movie now, like I still can't remember like what scene's coming next because it's just all mixed up. But that's one of the cool things about it. It doesn't have like a traditional 3 acts like most narrative structures, which was kind of a novel thing, I guess. But I still think it would have worked even if he had put it in chronological order. But it just made it more exciting and feel new, I guess.
Yeah, Memento hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
So you're right. Honey Bunny and Pumpkin are introduced in a diner. And that is like the technical jumping off point from the film.
Which that's a cool scene.
It is a cool scene. And again, we're coming back to that diner. But for now, we're going to jump back to the apartment where Jules and Vincent are trying to retrieve said glowing golden briefcase from the people that had crossed Marcellus.
Yes, and on the way to the apartment, so they're 2 hitmen, they're walking to the apartment. You're kind of introduced to like that classic Tarantino dialogue that maybe it wasn't famous at that time, but was made famous by this film, where they're talking about how McDonald's is called different things in France and how he just got back from Amsterdam. And basically at this point you find out that Vincent, who was one of the gangsters, it's Vincent Jules. Vincent, played by John Travolta. He's supposed to take his boss's wife out on a date later. He's telling Jules. And then Jules is telling him, oh, shit, like that's a kind of a dangerous situation because Marcellus' wife caught another man massaging her feet and then threw him out of a window.
Yep.
So they're arguing about whether like touching feet is sexual, which I believe Jules is arguing that it is sexual. And of course, this is Tarantino, so it's definitely sexual for him, allegedly.
I think it's like pretty established. We're not breaking ground here.
Right. It's which nothing wrong with that as long as it's consensual. I don't like the thought of people like sniffing shoes and stuff.
What percentage of shoe store employees do you think have a foot fetish?
Probably a good bit of them. I mean,
I bet that's
it
why
seems like
there.
The perfect job for someone like that.
That's why they're there. Same with like foot doctors.
Proctologists.
Oh, man.
Butt doctors. Who does that?
Butt doctors. So, yeah. Touching the boss's wife's a bad idea. You know?
That's classic Tarantino dialogue, which is kind of fun. And what's he say? Jules tells Vincent that he's the foot fucking master. And it's always sexual when he massages a woman's feet.
Yeah.
Oh, Tarantino.
Yeah.
But what was it with the Salma Hayek? He didn't he do something inappropriate, or does he just linger on their feet too long in the shots? Like, with
Salma Hayek from Dusk Till Dawn? There's the scene inside the strip club bar truck stop thing where she's like she's doing a dance or whatever, and she's like on the table. And she puts her foot in Tarantino's mouth and pours the tequila down her leg. So
that's uncomfortable.
What I remember reading, and I believe it is established fact, is that Robert Rodriguez knew that Tarantino had a foot fetish, so he wrote this scene in and like deliberately kept the details of that bit out of like away from Tarantino. So like when Tarantino is having the foot put in his mouth and the tequila poured down it, like that's like a very genuine reaction from him because he just loves it so much.
And he looks happy.
He does look happy.
Well, I'd say Robert Rodriguez might be the creepy person who set up that situation.
Sure.
I think, we're not fixated on this, but I just feel like it just makes Tarantino seem so much creepier to like know that. Not saying that that's creepy. It just makes him seem creepier.
I'm just saying, as long as it's an adult woman, there's like creepier things to do, I guess.
No, there's way creepier things to do. As long as it's consensual. Man, we have dug ourselves deep on this one. Let's just move on.
Dude, yeah, you're the one who came back to the damn From Dusk Till Dawn thing. And of course, I'm going to describe it.
I needed to know. I could not remember what the deal was, and that isn't as creepy as I was remembering. So
yeah. So, anyways, jumping back into the apartment. This is the scene where he eats the burger and takes like the drink from
Brett.
From Brett, who was played by that dude from fucking Mad TV. God damn it, what's his name? But anyways, Brett. And he eats the burger. This is a tasty burger.
And the guy just keeps saying what over and over again. That's the only thing he can say because he's like having a panic attack.
Yeah, because he's got two hard-hitting gangsters there pointing giant handguns in their faces.
And Jules is like, say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker.
Yeah, you do better, Sam Well.
That's like the only one I could do.
You did it. You did it good. So we also get Jules reciting a biblical passage in this scene, which is
Ezekiel 25:17.
There we go.
Which this one's classic.
It's an iconic scene for Samuel Jackson, but it also kind of like, I guess, sets the stage for a major theme of the second half, which is, Jules interpreting something as divine. We'll get to it.
Part of the quote, and he says this multiple times throughout the movie, I believe, every time he's about to kill someone.
Yeah.
Part of it is, I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger. And I want to say someone asked him what it means, and he's like, I think it's, at the end, he's like, I always just thought that was a badass thing to say to a motherfucker before I put a cap in his ass or whatever.
Yeah.
Which it is a badass thing to say. It's larger than life. It's something that would happen in those pulp magazines that doesn't normally happen in the real world, It's...
Yeah. So they take the briefcase, and it cuts over from there. Basically, I'm going to fuck it up.
Next it goes to Butch the Boxer.
Yes. Okay, I thought so. It goes over to Marcellus Wallace, played by Ving Rhames, basically instructing Butch that he's gonna take a dive in the upcoming match. So he bribes him with some cash, and the agreement is Butch goes down.
Next, it cuts to the third story, which is Vincent about to take Mia Wallace on the date, who's the boss's wife.
Yep.
And it shows him buying some drugs because I guess she's into heroin or whatever.
I guess it's worth mentioning Vincent had just come back from France after it's suggested he'd left the country to lay low for a while. So probably killed somebody. Got a little too close to getting caught. And that prompts the whole famous Royale with cheese bit. Talking about
Yep.
quarter pounders.
Yes,
In
and
France,
I think that
they
was
call
based off like Tarantino's own experience because he was in Amsterdam and Europe when he was writing this,
Mm.
and he basically wrote his own experiences into those little pieces of dialogue, which is kind of neat.
That is neat. It's a good fact.
Vincent ends up going to Mia Wallace's house, picking her up, and she's kind of weird, played by Uma Thurman,
Yep.
who, I don't know why, but her character just makes me uncomfortable. I mean,
It's because it's a powerful man's wife throwing
Right.
it,
Yeah.
pitching it at our hero. And we just know, it's already stated, if anything were to transpire between the two of them, even something as pseudo harmless as a foot rub, might end up thrown out a window.
Yep. Yeah, so Uma Thurman plays this role so well, and it really does build up the tension as these scenes play out. But they end up going to this restaurant called Jackrabbit Slim's, which I guess is where all the employees dress like famous people from the 40s and 50s.
Yep.
And Steve Buscemi is their waiter, and he's dressed up like Buddy Holly.
Yep. They also, this has the whole dialogue about the fucking milkshake. How expensive it is at this restaurant.
And then they dance.
And
They
then
dance.
They enter a dance contest, a twist contest, and you more or less find out later that they won.
The infamous dancing scene.
Yeah, which is very cool and very well done.
Yes. So then they go back to her house, and while Vincent's in the bathroom, which becomes a theme throughout the film, it happens multiple times. Something bad happens while he's on the toilet. Mia overdoses on heroin.
Yeah, so she finds the heroin he bought earlier and thinks it's coke and snorts it and ODs.
So he's freaking out, oh God, I killed the boss's wife, the gangster boss, who's definitely going to kill him for sure. He takes her back to his buddy who he bought the heroin from's house.
Yep.
And he's like, what do I do? What do I do? And the guy's freaking out. And he has an adrenaline shot, I believe.
Yep.
And he says he's never done it before, but they ended up giving her this adrenaline shot directly into her heart, which is pretty wild.
Yep. And it brings her back.
That scene was actually filmed in reverse. Not sure why, but I guess it just makes it look more frantic as she's rolling around and stuff.
Interesting. And then after that, it kind of sort of concludes that little story. Vincent drops Mia off at home.
That's also the scene that made Lawrence Fishburne not want to take the part of Jules in the film because he did not like the portrayal of heroin in that scene.
Mm.
So he was very close to being Jules. It sounds like it was written for him, apparently. Which he's awesome in, what's that fucking movie? Ghost Dog? Is it Ghost Dog? Have you seen the movie where he lives on the roof?
Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai. Yeah.
Yes, and who? Jim Jarmusch, I believe.
Yeah, I think it is a Jim Jarmusch film, and the score is done by, I think, the RZA, but maybe the Jizza. I should know that. I should really know that. I think it's the RZA. I'm pretty fucking sure.
That's what I was thinking, but
yeah, it's sweet.
So I think this takes us to the infamous gold watch scene, which is Christopher Walken's one part in this movie, which is disturbing and amazing.
It is. So to just run everyone through it, Christopher Walken's character is giving a young Butch Coolidge a watch. And this watch has very important sentimental value. It's a gold watch. It had been in their family for a long time. But Christopher Walken is delivering this watch and this monologue in a military uniform. And the gist of it is, while his father and Christopher Walken were POWs, his father had kept that watch hidden up his ass the whole time to keep it from being taken.
Yes, it's here. I have a little quote here. So he hid it in the one place he knew he could hide something, his ass. 5 long years he wore this watch up his ass. Then he died of dysentery. He gave me the watch. I hid this uncomfortable hunk of metal up my ass for 2 years. Then after 7 years, I was sent home to my family. And now, little man, I give the watch to you. Great.
It's not funny. It's terrible. And
it's terrible, but man, that's it's funny because that's just ridiculous. No one would give a shit about the watch anymore. No one would put that in their butt for
for 5 years. I mean, they must have really cared about that watch, I guess is what's trying to be.
So we know this watch. Butch has this watch as his most valuable possession.
Yeah.
After he throws the fight, he immediately, I think, escapes in a taxi cab.
Correct. He bets the bribe money on himself and then double crosses Marcellus.
Yes, kills the man, actually.
Yeah.
Which we find out from the taxi driver. He gets back to, I think, a hotel room where he has told his girlfriend to meet him and bring all their prized possessions.
Fabienne.
Including Fabienne. Man, she's weird as hell.
I'm trying to think of the actress's name. I had it in my brain earlier today.
Crazy weird when she keeps talking about how she wants a pot.
And she can't hold on to the one goddamn thing he said that she needed to hold on to, which was the watch.
That's all she needed to do was bring the watch, but she forgot the watch at their house. So now Butch knows the gangsters are looking for him, but his dad had that watch in his ass for 5 years. He has to go back and get it.
So he returns back to the apartment, enters, and before he retrieves it, he notices a submachine gun out and hears the toilet flush.
Yep, again, Vincent is using the toilet when he comes out. Fucking Bruce Willis is ready and just fucking guns him down. So he's dead now. But he'll come back later because the movie's all out of order, obviously.
Yep. So again, jumping to the whole bad things happening when he goes to the bathroom, his death. Pretty bad, unfortunate.
Pretty bad. That's pretty bad for him. Butch grabs the watch, and then he's making his escape. And as he's driving, he fucking sees Marcellus Wallace crossing the street. They make eye contact. Marcellus Wallace's eyes get all big. And then Butch just decides to ram his car directly into him.
Yep.
Which, this is one of the most famous and intense scenes of the movie. But once Marcellus comes to his senses, he starts shooting at Butch and chases him into a pawn shop across the street.
The infamous pawn shop.
The infamous pawn, where you don't want to go. You really don't want to go.
Yep.
But basically, kind of, Butch gets the upper hand. He's about to shoot Marcellus in the pawn shop when the owner comes out and holds them both at gunpoint.
Yep.
Then he gags them and takes them down to the basement. So he gained the upper hand on them real quick.
And then he makes the phone call to Zed. And what's the line? Oh, the spider has caught some flies.
It's so good. So Zed comes over, who's like a security guard. And essentially they have this gimp dude who's in this black leather suit with like a zipper over his mouth.
They're down in the basement now, by the way. Like down below. Both of them bound and gagged and attached to chairs. And they bring the fucking gimp in. And for anybody who... how would you describe a gimp, Braden, to anybody at home who might not know the word or have a fucking phone? I don't know.
I mean, I'll be honest, my main point of reference is probably this film and just a few other pop culture references, but it's like a full leather.
It's a submissive sex slave that is, I mean, in the more literal sense of the word slave. Like, they live fucking caged up somewhere in their fucking fully constrictive leather suits and,
They cover their whole face like a ski mask.
Everything that has to do with sex slaves.
Yes. So they have one of these.
Yeah, and I guess the the implication of this is not some like cool sexual kink between a bunch of consenting people. This is just like their literal sex slave.
Yes. Even though he does seem to be on their side, so who are we to say
but that's
it's
like
not
the whole
consensual?
Stockholm syndrome / getting, conditioned.
I think that's the
being a gimp.
nuance of that kind of arrangement that is so often overlooked.
They're trying to steer us away from me saying something fucking offensive. Just calling sex slavery bad is fucking offensive now. God damn it.
Can't do that. Possibly consenting. His mouth is covered up. He does not speak. But so who are we to say he didn't consent? Anyway.
Sure.
They leave the Gimp to watch Butch while they take Marcellus into the other room to rape him, which apparently this was an homage to Deliverance, which Quentin Tarantino's parents let him see at a very young age and had a massive impact on him. But I can see the Deliverance. If you don't know Deliverance, there's a scene similar to this where they make a man squeal like a pig who they caught in the woods.
But yeah, they drag Ving Rhames into the back. Maynard and Zed. Maynard being the shop owner, if we didn't say that earlier.
Yep.
And it is implied that bad things are about to happen to him.
Oh, there? Yes. And then Butch, he manages to break free. The Gimp starts screaming, and the Gimp, I believe he's like hanging from chains or like something. But
they have him chained up, right?
Yes.
Like, he's still in his little suit, but they have him attached to like a chain on the wall or whatever.
He sees Butch escaping, starts screaming, so Butch punches him in the face, knocks him
he's
out.
making Gimp noises. You can't really say screaming.
That's true. That's true. I would imagine the caption and the closed captions would say Gimp noises.
Yeah, as his mouth is covered with a zipper.
It's a very specific noise.
Yeah.
Yes, so then Butch is about to leave the pawn shop. Then he sees like a wall of weapons. And he's about to leave Marcellus to his fate, but then he like sees the weapons, starts getting ideas. I believe he grabs
keeps trying them on like one after another.
I think at first it's like a baseball bat, and then he
chainsaw at one point,
which that would have been pretty badass. But then he lands on the katana,
which is about as cool as you're gonna get.
It's pretty badass, and he goes down there and he saves Marcellus Wallace. Fucks those guys up.
Yeah, so we confirm Marcellus Wallace being raped. And it's such a stylistic shot for it being a rape shot. With Bruce like coming in.
It's artistic rape.
Butch coming in and like just gives him the fucking katana slice, man.
And you don't see it. The guy like spins around and now he has blood on his shirt.
Yeah, it looks like something out of like an 80s samurai movie, which I think is
well
cool.
done. So he frees Marcellus, and then what does Marcellus say? He says get me my friend to bring me some pliers or something.
No. so they undo him and Butch is like, "You okay, man?" And Marcellus says, "Nah, I'm pretty fucking far from okay right now." That he, informs Butch that he's going to go medieval on this guy's ass. And so the two of them agree to go their separate ways, never discuss this again for, the crime lord doesn't want this getting out. And
fair.
Butch has to leave and never come back. But they're square. They're even now.
Also fair.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good resolution. Except maybe for Marcellus. That's unfortunate.
If Butch had just left, Marcellus's life would have gone from being a crime kingpin to fucking forced gimp. Which again, I think...
Forced gimp. Non-consensual.
I think that comes back more to my point that the earlier gimp was a forced gimp. He wasn't a willing gimp. At least not initially.
He tried to warn them. That's
but again,
all
it's
I
because
know.
they fucking broke his mind.
That's the only indication we have of his allegiances.
I disagree, but fine. Fine.
Everyone's got their own preferred Gimp style.
So Butch retrieves his girlfriend, Fabienne, on the bike that Zed had ridden over, and they ride off.
Yes. And this leaves us with...
We're jumping back to the apartment at the beginning.
Back to the apartment, yep. So they thought they killed everyone in that room. Goes back to them. All of a sudden, this dude jumps out of the closet with a giant gun, unloads it on them, and every single bullet misses.
Yeah, shoots all around him somehow.
And Jules declared that it's an act of God and a miracle that they didn't get hit.
So they kill this guy, obviously. These
Yes.
two seasoned, cool gangsters wearing the suits, being badass. Shoot him dead. And yeah, Jules decides it's a miracle.
Yes, and so the only guy remaining is Marvin.
Mm-hmm.
Who you were saying was on Mad TV? Marvin.
Yes, I got the two mixed up.
What's his name? Philip Lamar or something? Something like that.
Yeah.
They take him essentially as a hostage and the briefcase.
Mm-hmm.
They're driving in the car. Jules is driving. Vincent is looking over his shoulder, talking to Marvin, and he's pointing the gun at him, and then it just goes off suddenly, blowing Marvin's brains all over the interior of the car with a lot of blood.
Lots and lots of blood.
And they're so like nonchalant about like the fact that, well, Jules freaks out, but that's like one of the best scenes of the film.
Yeah.
Hyper violent.
They end up driving the car over to Jimmy's place, who's Jules' buddy, who I guess you would assume is also in the underground world, the crime world. Jimmy is played by Quentin Tarantino. So in comes Tarantino. And basically they got to do something with the body, and Jimmy is very unhappy because he wants this resolved prior to his wife Bonnie coming home. So Jules phones it into Marcellus, and Marcellus agrees to send them a cleaner, so somebody who's going to come and unfuck their situation, basically. Winston Wolfe.
Such a great character.
It is, and he's got such a fucking cool car. So I'm going to go back and eat my words on 90s cars. His Acura NSX is fucking badass. The one
but is his car from the 90s? Like, is that a 90s model?
Yes, it is.
It really?
Yes. It's the Acura NSX.
No kidding.
Which was, at the time, an extremely fast and, like, somewhat affordable-ish sports car. Not really. It was still pretty expensive. But, like, the modern-day NSX costs, like, $150,000.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of money.
I guess a cleaner is a character who, like, cleans up messes. He makes problems go away by any means necessary. And this cleaner they call him the Wolf, and he's played by Harvey Keitel, who's just a badass in general.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just a great character. But he comes, I think on the phone he gives them instructions. Put the body in the trunk, clean the car, change your clothes, and they just have to wear some of Quentin Tarantino's character's clothes, which they end up like. Isn't one of them wearing like a Disney World shirt or something?
Yes.
Pretty hilarious.
It was pretty hilarious.
Which makes them look not badass at all after that.
It does. It like takes them out of their characters very significantly.
Yeah. And then, so basically after they deal with that problem, they take the car to the junkyard, get rid of it, all under the instruction of the Wolf. The film ends with them actually in the diner that's at the beginning of the film that these two characters were robbing. Minor characters, essentially, played by Tim Roth is the guy. He's really great in everything. And they're robbing the diner, and Vincent is in the bathroom when all this is happening for the third time in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going from table to table, taking everyone's wallets. And then eventually they get to Jules's table, which we get a pretty good climactic scene here.
Yeah, so this is I would call this the Reformation of Jules Winfield.
There you go.
If I was going to title it.
Basically, when they demand that Jules hands over his wallet and the briefcase, he says that's not going to happen. He gives them the wallet, but he's like, you're leaving this briefcase alone because this is my boss's briefcase, and I'm going to take it back to him. They don't like that answer. By the way, his wallet says bad motherfucker on it, which
BMF.
is a cool wallet.
Yeah.
And that was actually Quentin Tarantino's real wallet. He owned that. Which
That's pretty sweet.
Seems like a thing he would own because he just wants to be cool and edgy so bad, honestly.
Yeah, so bad.
But if Samuel L. Jackson owns it, it's way cooler because he is a bad motherfucker.
It made the wallet much cooler.
Yes, it made the wallet much cooler than if it's Quentin Tarantino's. But he opens the briefcase, light shines out of it, so he distracts Tim Roth's character, known as Pumpkin. And he manages to turn the tables and get Tim Roth at gunpoint. And then the girl, Honey Bunny, or maybe I'm getting their names confused, but Honey Bunny, she also has a gun. So then they have this Mexican standoff scene, which is kind of a send up to Sergio Leone's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, so this scene's a whole homage to that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think he also does in The Hateful Eight and a bunch of other movies, and Reservoir Dogs. So he ends a lot of his movies. He loves
a good Mexican standoff. True Romance also, right?
Yep, I believe so.
Yeah.
So Jules, he's like, be cool. He gets everyone to lower their guns. Then he recites his biblical passage. Well, before going back just a little bit, Jules was just telling Vincent before he went to the restroom that he's going to quit his life of crime. That divine intervention, the act of God, not getting hit by those bullets has made him want to go straight. And he says he wants to walk the earth like Kane from Kung Fu, which is like one of the best lines in the movie. It's just such a good little character detail. He wants to walk the earth like Kane from Kung Fu, played by David Carradine, I believe, right?
I believe that is correct. Yes.
Yep. Who ends up being Bill in the Kill Bill series?
I guess it's we're at the end of the movie, but all of Tarantino's works kind of exist in the same universe.
They're often self-referential in some ways.
Yeah.
You got the same cigarette brand is featured throughout it and all these other little just details.
Yep.
And then he gives them all the money, asks for his wallet back and lets them leave. And they're just shook up as to what the fuck just happened.
Mm-hmm. And then it plays whatever that surf rock song is at the end.
Dick Dale and his Dale tones. That's honestly, hearing that song and this soundtrack had a big impact on me. Maybe as much as the film, but I've always loved that song and was certainly introduced to it by this movie.
I just like surf rock a lot in general.
I'm pretty sure he basically invented it.
Yeah.
Dick Dale.
Yep.
That's Pulp Fiction, folks.
That's it. We did it. Holy shit, we got through the movie.
We were able to spoil it successfully.
Hopefully we did a good job. Let us know. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you think we did a good job. Comment, subscribe, tell your friends.
Maybe we didn't talk about Quentin Tarantino's foot fetish enough. If that's the case, drop us a line, faroutflix@gmail.com.
Yeah, I think we probably did, but if we didn't, we'll talk about it more for your approval and likes.
When we do Kill Bill, don't worry.
It's a two-parter, though, that we're committing to fucking watching 2 movies.
I think you have to you break that into two episodes for sure.
But then it has to be back-to-back, basically.
That's right? Doable. I could live in that world for a while.
Yeah. But either way, guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Flickers.
Bye.